You can buy a quality rental property today at almost any price point, whether that's 50 grand, 200 grand, or 600 grand. Whatever the price point, you need to know how to find the value in your particular market. And you need to think through how to operate your property to maximize your returns. But starting or growing your real estate portfolio is completely doable, even with current prices and interest rates. Today, 3 professional investors will teach you how they're investing for long-term wealth creation right now. Hey everyone, I'm Dave Meyer, head of real estate investing at BiggerPockets, where we teach you how to achieve financial freedom through real estate. And today on the podcast, I am joined by 3 expert investors who are my co-hosts on the On the Market podcast, James Daynard, Kathy Fettke, and Henry Washington. James, Kathy, and Henry are each going to tell us about an investment property that they've bought within the last few months with purchase prices ranging from 55 grand, so sort of at the low end of the spectrum, all the way up to 600 grand at the high end of the spectrum. Well, thank you guys for being here. Kathy, great to see you.
Great to see you. Can't wait to hear what these guys are up to now.
Are you nervous? I mean, not that this is a competition, but we always make it
It's going to be a competition. It always is, even if it's unsaid.
Okay, well, you usually hang pretty well in these competitions, so we'll see. James, how you doing?
I'm good, and it doesn't need to be said. It's always a competition.
Henry, good to see you, man.
Hey, glad to be here. This is always a competition, and I want to win this time. So,
all right. Well, I'll give you guys a little bit of a spoiler because I've read a little bit about the deals. We know that so far that Henry's house that he's trying to win, apparently, with a house full of spiders when he closed, but it will be a part-time vacation home for his family. Kathy found an incredible upside opportunity in one of the U.S. largest and fastest growing cities. And James is getting super creative with a multi-part strategy to create profit other investors may have overlooked. So whether you're a new investor, you've been in real estate for a long time, today's show will have some great ideas to get the wheels turning on your own next property. Let's get into it. All right, Henry, I'm going to pick on you. You have to go first and share the deal that you're doing.
yeah, we've got a single family home that we purchased. It is coincidentally across the street from a lake, and it's arguably the second nastiest house I've ever bought. It was so riddled with brown recluse spiders and webs.
You got me there.
So first of all, when you walked in, you walk into a sunroom. The sunroom, literally 3 inches thick on the ground of just cigarette butts. Like this guy would just smoke his cigarettes and then throw his butts out in the sunroom. And then when you get into the house, like I took one step in and I was like, nah, I'm good. So you had to get like a stick of some kind, and then you just had to like wave it around in front of you from all the cobwebs.
It's like when they make cotton candy, you know, they take that little thing and roll it around.
Yeah, it was literally just like a thick stick of cotton candy, except spider webs. And then the subfloors were so rotted away that like we just had to put 2x4s down so that we have something sturdy to walk on, because I thought I was just going to fall through the floor.
You know what, though? I like that Henry said that this is the most realistic deal. Who wants to buy a house where you're going to fall down and get killed by spiders within the first 30 seconds? It's realistic, though, Henry.
It is realistic because our listeners can afford it. We haven't talked to yours yet.
What did you like about it? I've heard some things that would turn me off, but what was attractive about this deal?
I liked that it was across the street from the lake. I liked that I could buy it for $55,000, I think we paid for it.
Oh, yeah. That's something to like.
I mean, it needed more put into it than I paid for it. So we're putting 90 grand into it. But the ARV on the house is 265 conservatively, probably closer to 275, 285. And if we want to long-term rent it, we could easily get $1,800 a month, mostly because as we bought it, it was a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. But we were able to steal some room from a couple of closets, and we made it a full 3-bed, 2-bath. So $1,800 a month long-term rent, but we're going to actually short-term rent it because it's across the street from the lake, and I just want to be able to take my family there and do like lake stuff. I don't really know what lake stuff means because I'm not an outdoorsy person, but we're going to figure it out.
You will find out soon.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about this lake, though, because there's bougie lakes, there's redneck lakes, and there's lakes you don't want to go near. What are we talking?
I'm going to say one word, and then you tell me what kind of lake it is. Arkansas. No. It is a pretty lake. There's actually a deck and pier that you can walk up to and like fish off of. They even have like a fishing house. So when it's cold outside, you can go inside the little house and fish down into the lake from the little house. And there's a boat dock and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually, there's really nice
amazing
lakes in this community.
Oh, nice.
And so I like the price point. I like that I have multiple exit strategies. I can sell this one if I wanted to and make a pretty decent profit because, like I said, ARV is pretty high. I could long-term rent it for $1,800 a month and cash flow the property, or I can short-term rent it, which is what we're going to do. And we're estimating to make about $3,000 a month on the short-term rent. But the real reason I want to short-term rent it is because I haven't been able to get my wife to agree to let me put a golf simulator in my personal home. But if it's for a short-term rental, and it's going to bring us more income, I have gotten her agree to let me put it in the short-term rental, which is only like a 20-minute drive from my house. So it's basically like my own personal
be like,
golf.
is Henry working on that house again? What could possibly be wrong with it now?
Wait, I have to ask you about this because I was going to put one in my short-term rental because I have this detached garage that I don't use for anything right now.
Yeah.
But I was worried that people were going to break it because there's like, you need a computer and a software. Like, are you worried about that at all?
There's cases that you can get for your launch monitor that can secure your launch monitor to the ground so that no one can take it. And then you can also lock your computer up in a case so that no one can take that, just a keyed entry case. So yeah.
Oh, maybe I have to come visit you in person and see how you created this just so I can replicate it.
If you want to come and do some market research, or I can come out there and consult and tell you exactly how to set all this up.
It's a write-off.
Easy peasy.
But Henry, so you bought this house. It's got no floors. It's got lots of spiders. Like, what does the permitting take? Because for us, if we have to wait 9 months for a permit, it can be all the profit in the deal.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Actually, the permitting process was really easy. Actually, I just went to the permit office and told them what I was going to do, and then they made me draw it out for them, and I did. And then you pay for the permit and they issue it to you pretty much on the spot. As long as you're not asking to do something that doesn't conform to their normal standards. So I'm wanting to build a deck over the driveway of this property because the elevation is so steep that I don't want anybody to park at the top of the driveway. And so I actually want to build a deck over the steepest part, but the rules in this community say that every house has to have either a carport or a garage. And so when I asked them to do that, they said I'd have to come to the meeting and present and get approval, and then they'd give me a permit. So as long as what you're asking for is within their normal standards, you can get a permit pretty quick. If it's not, then you got to go present.
And how did you finance this, Henry? Because I imagine this deal you could not get a conventional loan on. So how'd you make this one work?
No, this was similar to a hard money loan. I financed almost 100%. I think I had to put about $5,000 down out of my own money, but they financed the majority of the purchase and all of the renovation. And then once we finish the renovation, we will refinance it out into a 30-year fixed on a DSCR.
So you financed your own golf simulator, just to be clear.
Yeah, for business purposes, yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes, purely
Okay,
business.
great. Yeah,
I will
glad to
get
hear
no
that.
personal joy out of this.
And how long are you expecting this renovation to take? Sounds pretty serious.
By the time we're done, it'll be about 5 months.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. So, as you said, this is the most relatable deal. Is this a deal you think, an average real estate investor could find and pull off?
Absolutely. I think there are markets like this all over the country where you can buy houses for a reasonable price point and you can figure out a way to monetize them. I'm not saying it's easy. I am saying it's repeatable.
Well, what's hard about it? Tell me.
It looks easy because I just get to get on here and talk about the deal that I have. But what we don't hear me talking about is how long or how much marketing I had to do in order to find an opportunity like this. There's a level of consistently looking for opportunities. And then when we find one, we're able to capitalize on it. So it's not like I just found this one property sitting out there, nobody wanted and bought it. It took a lot of legwork on the front end to find this opportunity.
I mean, I love this deal. When the rehab's bigger than the purchase price, it typically means
you're making money.
Yeah, you're making some money on this thing.
You better be making some money.
But you still have to control those costs, right? And I think you have to be careful about buying the cheapest thing because the cost can explode. Like, I mean, what do you think for somebody that was like brand new, what's their rehab number going to be?
You could easily run this about 125 to 150. It's not just controlling your costs, it's also not over renovating. But I have this contractor doing like 4 jobs for me right now. And so he's able to source materials all at the same time. And I'm able to get a discounted rate because we're doing so many jobs with this one contractor. So,
but even you said 125, right? So Henry, just as a reminder, he said his renovation cost him 90. So even if you went up to 125, which is like a 35% increase over what Henry's paying, you're still into this deal for 180 and the ARV is 265. It's still a good deal.
it's a stupid deal.
Yeah, right.
You could mess it up left and right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, yes, there are inevitably efficiencies that come with doing the volume of deals Henry's do, having a business for several years, being great at building these relationships, that definitely helps. But even if you're starting, there's so much cushion in a deal like this that it gives you a lot of flexibility and allows for some of those inefficiencies that just exist for anyone when they're first getting started.
Absolutely.
Managing rentals shouldn't be stressful. That's why landlords love RentRedi. Get rent in your account in just 2 days. That's faster cash flow and less waiting. Do you need to message a tenant? You can chat instantly in-app so you have no more lost emails or texts. Plus, you can schedule maintenance and repairs with just a few apps without all that phone tag. Are you ready to simplify your rentals? Get 6 months of RentRedi for just $1 using promo code BP2025. Sign up at the link in the bio because the best landlords are using RentRedi. Kathy, tell us about something you're working on.
Well, this is a classic Kathy deal, and it is quite opposite from Henry's and probably James as well. Shouldn't be any spiders in this one. But actually, it is me helping my daughter get her first investment property because, first of all, I don't know about my youngest yet, but my oldest, Karina, listens to me, and she bought a house instead of a car right out of college. Because she didn't get a car, her debt to income ratios were better. She was driving an old car. She didn't need a new one. And that house helped her buy a house in Southern California. And just recently, the bank contacted her and said, we can give you an equity line. All you have to do is just sign. And she called me. She's like, Mom, what do I do? And I said, honey, you buy an investment property. That's what you do. And it's a pretty substantial equity line that they're giving her. So it's scary. She's very busy professional. She's got her own business and she lives in Southern California. So to find what Henry just described in her neighborhood would be about $1 million for that. So I wanted to show her how I've been investing and how we've been teaching people invest who don't live in areas where it makes more sense to do the types of things that Henry's doing and James, is doing. So how do you have a full-time job, 2 young kids, try to take care of your life, your home, all the things, and try to buy an old house and fix it up? It's really hard. So an alternative is to buy a new house that doesn't need any work and that still cash flows and is in a growth area where you today can negotiate to have the rate bought down. So, Dallas has been hitting the news a lot as an area where prices are going down or there's just a lot of inventory. But they're not really talking about the outskirts. And if you go to North Dallas, it's a very different story, very low inventory versus higher inventory. Places like the McKinney area and even further north where you can still get tremendous deals and they still cash flow and it's still in the path of progress. And it's all the things I love for buy and hold investing for busy professionals who just aren't in a situation to buy a spider house. It's just not going to work for them. So this deal is in an area in North Dallas, kind of near McKinney. There's so much development coming in this area. The purchase price is $214,000 for brand new.
That's really good.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yes.
The median price in that area is almost double that, $395,000. So getting it well under median price. I love that. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. We're negotiating the interest rate down. We're trying to get it under 6% by negotiating with the builder. And the rent looks to be around $1,825. So again, not the numbers you're going to see with Henry, but also that's really hard to do when you live in Southern California. You're not going to find a $50,000 house and be able to put $100,000 into it, make it work. So again, this particular area has days on market is 65, months of inventory 3.9. So kind of normalizing, not what you hear in the news, which is a flood of inventory in Dallas. You have to know that for the Case-Shiller Index and a lot of these areas where they mention cities, they're not always talking about the metro area. And the metro area is very different than the city itself. Cities operate very differently than suburbs. So you just got to know your suburb really well and know where the growth is headed. Because if we want something that cash flows, if we want something more affordable, so do businesses. Mm-hmm. Businesses want to get out of expensive areas and into more affordable areas where they can get the land for cheaper, where they can pay their employees a little bit less than they might have to in a city. So you've got to always be looking at where our business is moving and where is housing needed as a result of that. So I'm super proud of her. She's going to be able to pull this deal off. It's her first investment, and I like it so much, I'm going to get one too.
Oh, wow. Just double dipping. I love that.
Yeah, you know it.
You know what I love about this deal right now, though? You're catching the builders in the middle.
Yeah.
Right now it's a little bit harder to sell inventory, so they're now selling to you at a discount. You're able to negotiate the rate buy down, which is a benefit to you. Essentially you're getting the property for cheaper by getting that rate buy down. And also we have tariffs coming that supposedly is going to raise construction costs 10 to 15%. And you're locking in on today's build cost, where the builder is also working with you to get the inventory off. And that's what we're always chasing as investors, is what's in the middle of no man's land. And that's how you can kind of crush that deal. When you can get that rate negotiated down and you're buying below replacement cost, because if construction cost is up 10, 15% in 12 months, you're buying below replacement cost. And that's what I really do love about that deal. It's the right price, it's the right affordability, and it should naturally go up in value just by the build cost alone.
There's a couple of things I love about this deal. First of all, brand new construction home in an area of the country that is going to continue to grow. There's a lot of land mass in Texas. They're not just going to stop growing, right? So $214,000 for a purchase price for a brand new home.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The home's not going to go down in value. Even in the short term, if it does, over the long term, this property is going to appreciate. And I know there's people listening to this and looking at the numbers and going, oh, $214,000, only $1,825 in rent. But you have to consider that this property is brand new construction, which means you are not going to have the maintenance expenses and the capital expenses, maybe that like I am going to have with my property that's a much older property, right? And so that is going to help you with the cash flow in the short term. And in the long term, you're going to have equity and appreciation plus the tax benefits on a property like this. Like, this is almost a no-brainer if your strategy, like at $214,000, $1,825 rent in a market that's going to appreciate. Sometimes where you find new construction at these price points, you're probably not going to get the growth or the appreciation over time. So I think being able to buy something like this at that price point near a metro area like Dallas is pretty amazing.
And then, like you said, just not to get nickel and dimed. It's like buying a new car versus an old car. You're going to get a better deal on the old car, but you might have to more fix-it costs, right, than a new car, hopefully.
Yeah, and lower vacancy, right? Like, I think like when you go into these communities where it's more family-oriented, you might have longer-term tenants too. I mean, this makes a lot of sense to me. Kathy, this might be a more relatable deal.
It was.
I think, for an average investor who lives in a high-price market, like, this is a good option. Henry, your deal has a lot of juice in it, to borrow James's term, but it's a little bit more work, and it's going to be a little bit harder to do. So I think you might be competing here on relatability, Kathy.
All right.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, Kathy. Sounds like a really good deal. Good example of something that you can buy anywhere in the country if you have the capital to afford something like that. Before we move on, I wanted to remind the whole BiggerPockets community that the BiggerPockets conference, known as BPCon, is back, and we are heading to Las Vegas this year for our 6th annual conference. I know all three of you will be there. I will be there, of course, as well. Henry, tell me, what are you looking forward to this year?
Vegas is probably one of the best food cities in America, and I'm a fat kid, so I'm excited to go eat food for sure. I'm excited to give some money away, make some donations to the casinos there. And
they are struggling.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited to hang out with all of my friends that I don't get to see as often, so I miss you guys.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great time. James, what are you looking forward to?
I got to echo Henry. It's Vegas. It's always going to be a good time. But, one of my favorite things about BPCon is just hanging out in the hallways and talking to people. When you just get to talk and you get to find out what people are doing or what they're struggling with. Like, every time I leave BPCon, I'm excited to go do more things.
That conference high, man, it's a real thing. When you get home, you're just buzzing. Kathy, what are you looking forward to?
Well, of course, your keynote, Dave.
Oh,
can't wait.
Wow, thank you. Putting the pressure on.
Yeah, just a little bit of pressure. No, it's been so good these past years. I'm looking forward to that again. And of course, Vegas is always fun, but it's really fun with 2,000 of your best friends, and where you take over a whole casino, BP style all the way. One thing, if people haven't been to BPCon, you need to know that they go all out and all out on the education, the networking, but also the fun. So I can't wait to see what's in store.
I know. We never know what the parties are going to be, but they're always great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for, it's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to it. And if you all want to join the four of us and tons of other real estate investors, experienced, aspiring alike, you can go to biggerpockets.com/conference and get all the details there and book your room, get your ticket, and we'll hope to see you in Vegas. We've heard about Henry's Spider House, Kathy's new construction deal outside of Dallas. James, I'm guessing yours is probably worth more than both of theirs combined. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, my earnest money was double Henry's purchase price on this one.
He's like, that's pretty cute. 55 grand, 214.
Yeah, that's great. No, it doesn't matter the size of the deal. You got to play with the cards you get dealt, right? And we're in Seattle. It's expensive. I would love to buy myself a $55,000 lake house. And Henry, I did just get a wakeboard boat, so maybe we head out that way. My deal, though, for the market we're in, we have to get pretty creative to come up with cash flow and build out your rental portfolio. Things are expensive. And the reason I love my deal is because they only make so much land, and I'm getting the land for almost free.
I love it.
On this one and how we're setting up.
I love that.
What we have is I found a property, which is the equivalent to $55,000 in Arkansas. I found a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property in the central district of Seattle. So this is an expensive neighborhood. It's constantly growing on a 4,000 square foot lot. And we paid $600,000 for this property, and $600,000 in Seattle is cheap. So the reason I love this deal is there's potential in the backyard. It sits on a 2-sided street. There's access on the back, and the front house is on the front of the lot. We can renovate that house and put in about $120,000, $125,000, and that house will be able to be sold for about $900,000. In addition to, this property is zoned LR3, low-rise residential, to where we can build a row house in the back. And I can build a 2,100 to 2,200 square foot house in the backyard and subdivide it off and sell that property for about $1.2 million. Wow. So the plan on this is we're going to renovate the house, put $125,000, $135,000 in. We're going to sell it for $899,000, which is then going to give us the back lot on that property. There's going to be about $35,000 in profit after we flip the house. So we're going to get our backyard for $35,000 cash to us. And we're able to build that house out at a cost of about $700,000 to $720,000 to build a house that's worth $1.2 million. That property then has now created over $350,000 to $400,000 in equity, but it's not going to pay for itself. I'm going to have to write a check to either pay for it or leave some money in. And so that's why I love this deal. It takes a long time to build these things out, so I can start collecting rent, start putting renters in, and I can 1031 exchange this in 1 year. And so I'm going to flip off the front house, get the lot for essentially free in the back, build a house for $720,000, sell it for 1.2, create $300,000 in equity and profit. And then I'm going to take that $300,000, I'm going to go buy a fourplex with no money out of my own pocket. And so the reason I do love this deal is you have to look at creative ways in expensive markets, whether you're in LA, Chicago, Miami, New York. The numbers don't pencil if you want to buy a rental.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's a lot of work. This is going to take us about 12 to 15 months, but in 2 years, I'm going to be able to get into a fourplex with no money out of my own pocket. Wow. And that's how you start creating the wealth. And that's how we built out our whole portfolio. Again, I would much rather buy a deal like Henry. If I had those in my backyard, I would buy them. But in my neighborhood, I got to cut off my backyard to make any kind of money on the thing.
This is how you do it in a high price market. In California, you can do things like that with ADUs. There's such a push. The California legislation is all about building these ADUs in the back and increasing value. And I love what you said. You can have income coming in while you're working through the permitting process and so forth. You still can rent the main house and be able to build and improve the back part. So love it. We're always looking for deals like this.
So you're still able to sell these properties, one for $950 and another one for what, 1.2, even though they don't have the yards anymore?
Yeah, and so we've deducted that value down. So $899 if I build it in the back. If I actually don't build anything in the back, the property could be worth up to $999. But that comes down to the plan. So as I was permitting and start working on permitting that back unit, you want to make sure that you're not putting too many negative factors on that house. So things that we planned out is as we did our design, we made sure that this house still had a little bit of a backyard as a front yard, but we also got parking on it. And that was key to make the numbers work. If we couldn't have got parking, that house could go down to about $799,000 in value. And so these deals, they get a little complex and you have to look at all the comps and what the impacts are. And they take a little bit of time to work through. And that's why it's really important to work with the right professionals that can give you the right values. Because if we don't have that parking stall, instead of making money on it, I'm actually going to be paying $100,000 to $150,000 for the deal. And so it's all about that plan and how you lay it out. And just because you can build in the back doesn't mean you should either. And so you want to work with an architect, an engineer, a surveyor, and to figure out exactly what you can do. This is not guessing. Mm-hmm. This is all done in our feasibility when we bought the property. And the reason I love this deal is for some reason, if build costs shoot up 30%, because of tariffs in the next 6 to 9 months and my numbers change, I can still pivot my deal and sell the house for in the 900s, high 900s, and still make a profit and just cancel it. And the only risk I'm taking is the waste of plans.
James, I'm curious, like how many different ways did you look at making this deal work before you settled on this particular strategy?
I looked at this deal 5 or 6 times. I said no the first 3 times. And then I just kept coming back to it because it was affordable. And I'm going, okay, I love a no man's land deal when everyone doesn't want it. It's like, well, how can we make this work? And so I probably looked at this 6 different times over a 45-day period. And even when I locked it up, I was like, man, this might not work. And then finally, after talking to my surveyor and architect, we came up with the right plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows like, getting creative in not just expensive markets, but just in the kind of housing market where we're in, where there's not that much inventory. Like this is something that a lot of people probably had a chance to buy, right? But because you were disciplined about it and got creative with it, you were the one who figured out through that hard work that you did how to make this what other people couldn't make pencil into a really profitable deal for yourself.
Yeah, it's all about the plan that you're putting on things. And if you look at it straight over tackle, a lot of times it won't pencil because everybody's looking at it straight over tackle. So they're rushing in on that deal. I like the ones where it doesn't make sense straight over tackle and you got to get a little creative. And that's how you can create big pops. Like even on this deal, I might keep it as a rental, but I still might tweak it at the end. Because I can 1031 that front house. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, if build costs go up, I know I can sell that lot in the back for 15 to 20% of value. So that tells me that lot's worth 150 to 200 grand. And I can combine it and then 1031 it out that way too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so there's multiple different options in so where I'm not going to get stuck having to build the house if I don't want to.
Awesome. Well, this sounds like another great deal, James. Thank you so much. And I know the prices may seem like out there, but a lot of the lessons that James is talking about on how to approach this kind of challenge, I think is applicable to really any market. So thanks so much for bringing it to us. All right. Well, thank you all so much for bringing these deals. Since we tend to always just make these things competitive for absolutely no reason, I think we all have to vote for one deal that we would do. You can't vote for yourself. So, James, what's your vote?
Well, even if I could vote for myself, I'd pick Henry's deal all day long. I love a massive fixer, cheap, high equity growth, straight over tackle reno. I'm jealous. That is my kind of deal.
I like it. All right, Kathy, what's yours?
So I would pick James because I love opportunities like that where you have multiple exits. 600,000 might sound high to some people, but I know that is a good deal. And then all the options that you could do with it. And then I would just want to borrow, James and his team for just a year or so, and I'll take that deal.
Yes. Okay. So you're not buying just the property; you're buying the whole operation.
Buying all of it.
Okay, I like that. All right, Henry, what's yours?
Well, even though Kathy's hating on my deal, I would buy hers.
Oh, okay. Oh, I have to be the tiebreaker now. But tell us why, Henry.
I just think those numbers are pretty amazing for a new construction. And we have to remember that real estate is a long-term wealth game.
Mhm.
And the more that I am into this space and the more that I'm looking at my rental portfolio, I'm most excited when I look at the newer properties that I've bought in the past couple of years. I've bought a few new construction rental properties.
Yeah.
Those are the legacy properties. Those are the ones that you're going to be able to hand off to your kids and they'll still be in pretty decent shape. Versus if I bought a 50-year-old property and then I'm handing that one off to my kids, right? There's a lot of problems that could come with those. Right?
Here, you deal with this.
Right. Right. So the idea of being able to buy something brand new at that low of a price point and knowing that appreciation is going to go up, rents are going to go up over time. We didn't talk about that with Kathy's deal, but that's another upside to hers. It's $1,850 a month now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get appreciation over time and rent growth over time, that gap of wealth just continues to get bigger. I think that's a great option for people who probably have 15 to 20% sitting on the sidelines that they'd be willing to throw in a deal.
Well, I get to be the tiebreaker now. This is fun. You all voted for each
Oh,
other.
boy.
And normally, I think I would actually pick your deal, Kathy, because those are the type of like more passive, long-term deals I like. But Henry got me a golf simulator. You throw in a golf simulator on any deal, I'm taking it. So I'm picking Henry. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. Henry, James, Kathy, we appreciate you being here. And hopefully we'll have you guys back on again soon. And thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the BiggerPockets podcast. We'll see you next time.